Hello and welcome to episode 78 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Of course, I am your host, Rick Doherty. On today's show, Marissa from Chicago will be returning to continue our conversation about what is right and what is wrong about Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Last week, we covered the negatives, so it's time to take a look on the bright side this week. Before that, Sarah says we'll be doing something a little different. She's going to have some Walt Disney World history that involves both American history and world history. Sarah will be sharing a very interesting story about some pieces of art many of you may have passed without even thinking about it. As you know, before I get to any of that, I need to promote my fundraising efforts for CASA of Pinellas County, Florida. Last month, I walked Ireland's National Famine Way to raise money and awareness in the fight against domestic violence. The entire time, I recorded video from the trail. The first of my vlogs from Ireland will air on the Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty YouTube page on Monday, August 1st. To show you how important it is to me to promote this thing, I learned an entire video editing software just to put together these videos. If you donate to CASA using our link, the money goes directly to the organization so they can continue to help survivors of abuse. There are no middlemen or processing fees. Every dollar you donate goes to CASA. The link is casapinellas.org/walkwithrick/. That's casapinellas.org/walkwithrick/. Please consider donating $20 today. If we can get 100 people like you to donate $20 this week, that will be an extra $2,000 for survivors. With the number of people who've been listening lately, I know we can continue to hit our goals in this way. casapinellas.org/walkwithrick/. We're asking for $20, but if you can't do that, that's fine. $15, $10, even $5 will help survivors of domestic violence because, like I said, there are no middlemen or processing fees. In addition to the videos, I was interviewed last week by Lauren from Radio St. Pete here in Florida. When that interview is ready to air, I'll let all of you know how you can hear it. I'm also scheduled for an interview with the Hiking Through Life podcast. Both of those interviews are to talk about the pilgrimage. Hopefully by this point you can tell that I will stop at nothing to raise as much money as possible before we wrap up this fundraiser on Halloween. I swear Sarah's getting ready with her history books, but I have a few other things to share quickly. Speaking of Halloween, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is getting started in mid-August. We did not purchase our tickets until September 11th. I will be attending with my wife Courtney and occasional guest on the show Jillian. Marissa from Chicago will be going the week before our date. We will have plenty of content about Not So Scary as it approaches. We know that a lot of you like to catch parades and character cavalcades on our YouTube channel. On Sunday, July 24th, I posted a full version of the Festival of Fantasy Parade at Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World. To stay up to date on all of the content that's posted on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Your kids definitely might like going back, checking out Festival of Fantasy on July 24th. Frankly, I know a lot of people who just like to pull it up on their lunch break at work and kind of escape work and visit Walt Disney World, even if it's just on their computers. Now let's get things started with Sarah Says. Take it away, Sarah.
Thanks, Rick. Anyone who has been to Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World knows about the beautiful mosaic that tells the story of Cinderella that lines the inside of Cinderella Castle. It is one of the most gorgeous pieces of artwork in Walt Disney World, and people line up to take pictures in front of the mosaics throughout the course of most park days. It's probably safe to say, however, that many of the people who are taking those pictures or just admiring the work as they walk from Main Street USA to Fantasyland don't realize that the mosaic was designed by a man who interrogated U.S. military personnel for Nazi Germany during World War II. The strange story of Hans Scharf is too unique not to share. After being trained in textiles, weaving, merchandising, marketing, and importing, Hans found himself traveling from his German home in Johannesburg, South Africa, and back to Germany at the wrong time. Scharf was back in Europe by 1939 and the start of World War II. eventually being drafted into the military. He climbed the ranks of the Nazi military until he picked up a job as an interrogator. Scharf did not use violence when interrogating prisoners, preferring a technique that many Americans would probably call good cop. He pretended to be the prisoner's ally and said that if he did not get enough relevant information, he would be forced to turn the prisoner over to the Gestapo. Bizarrely, this non-violent style of work led him to make friends with some POWs. One such friend was Lieutenant Martin J. Monty, who pled guilty to treason against the United States. Scharf was asked to testify at his trial in 1948. He began sharing his interrogation techniques with the United States Air Force and the Pentagon in 1948 and eventually stayed in the U.S. Hans wrote several books about his time with the Nazi military, but he also started to revisit some of his artistic influences from earlier in his life. He began creating luxury furniture and mosaics that he sold in the New York City area. Hans moved the business to Los Angeles, joined forces with his daughter-in-law, and created the business Scharf and Scharf. It was this company that was tasked with not only creating the mural that resides inside Cinderella Castle to this day, but he is also responsible for the mural you see while taking the walkway to enter the Land Pavilion in Epcot. Hans died in 1992, but Scharf and Scharf is still in existence. Obviously, we are trying to share an interesting story about some of the details you will see on a vacation to Walt Disney World. It goes without saying that no amount of goodwill could overshadow his assistance with one of the most brutal governments in human history. Even being the non-violence good cop still makes a person a Nazi. Many of our relatives were in uniform for the United States during World War II, and we all owe a great debt of gratitude to all the U.S. servicemen and women and all of the Allied military personnel who helped defeat Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. That being said, this is such an interesting part of Disney history that connects with the dynamics of America in the late 40s and early 50s. I'm Sarah Says. Let's turn things back over to Rick Doherty on Tall Guy Talks Travel.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I know that was a sensitive topic, and we tried our best to cover it in the most sensitive way possible. Personally, I think Sarah did one heck of a good job. In addition to talking about things that are happening now, we're also going to make an effort over the next few months to get you some history of the theme parks. I think it's fun when you can spot out little interesting tidbits when you're with your family. It always helps to make you look and feel a little bit smarter, and in the long run, isn't that what's most important? Before we bring Marissa from Chicago back onto the show to finish our conversation about what is right and what is wrong about Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, I wanted to plug the fundraising link one more time. casapinellas.org/walkwithrick/ that's CASAPINELLAS.org/walkwithrick/. I've said before that we lose money on this podcast. The equipment was expensive and we have to pay for a hosting service. Of course, we won't even get into all the food that we sample for you because, yes, we do benefit from that as well. While a lot of other podcasts will ask for money personally, and I 100% understand why they would do that, we're just asking for donations to help survivors of domestic violence. Remember to check out the first of my vlog-style videos from Ireland this upcoming Monday. I'll have a new video every Monday after that until I've shown you everything I have to show. Like I said, I literally learned a brand new video editing software to put together this content, so please donate casapinellas.org/walkwithrick/. As you can tell, I want to get this fundraiser heard by as many ears as possible. If you have a podcast, I would love to be a guest to talk about my pilgrimage in Ireland, but we could certainly also talk about theme parks or really almost any topic. I don't know much about cars, but I can at least fake it on almost anything else. DM me on Twitter @Rick_ear to get in touch with me. Frankly, I would love the opportunity to just cross-promote to help out other creators as well. Back in episode 77, Marissa and I gave you the negatives about Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World, and yes, there are quite a few. Well, let's bring Marissa back right now to get to the good stuff. It's still a great theme park, and it's the place everyone thinks of first when they're planning their Walt Disney World vacations. Marissa, what is something that's right with Magic Kingdom?
All right, so I'll start off with a big one because, like you said, it's still a great park. It's still somewhere that we enjoy being in. And I think one thing that Magic Kingdom really has going right for it is the variety of entertainment that it provides. No matter what you're looking for, Magic Kingdom has it. You want thrill rides? They've got it. You want a dark ride with no height requirement that all your kids can ride? They've got it. You want a show so you can just kind of sit back and relax? You've got that too. There are places to sit. There are, mid-ground coasters that are good for people who aren't really into thrill rides, but maybe want to try getting into that zone. There's just so much different entertainment. And now with the parade back and the castle show back, there's so much to do that however you prefer to spend your theme park day, it's offered at Magic Kingdom.
When we first started talking about this conversation, and we were worried that we would have some conflicting things, and I'm like, no, I have enough things on my list that I don't think we're going to have that many conflicting, because I just won't talk about it if you mention it first. Well, you had about 3 of the things that I was going to mention in that last answer, because I think you hit a lot of things nail right on the head, because it has Country Bear Jamboree, Hall of Presidents, Carousel of Progress. One on the west side of the park, one towards the center of the park, one on the east side of the park. Also, more towards the center of the park, Mickey's PhilharMagic. Those are 4 shows that you can just sit down for about 20 minutes, get off your feet, be in the air conditioning, but still feel like you're being productive. You're still being entertained while you're relaxing. Now, with the parade back, with the castle show back, with all the character cavalcades that have been added, that now has a lot of people hanging out on Main Street USA, a lot more than they were hanging out there in the past, and that helps with some of the other problems with Magic Kingdom. The long lines, the bad queues. The more people are hanging out on Main Street USA, seeing the Dapper Dans, watching a random character cavalcade with Tinkerbell coming down Main Street USA. All of those things are things to do that aren't necessarily rides. There are amusement parks, and then there are theme parks. And I think Main Street USA is one of the things that makes Magic Kingdom a theme park and can get people out of these lands and away from some of the rides and experiencing other things. So yeah, you hit like 3 of my things with just one answer, but I still have some more, and one of them is the iconic factor of 2 things. You walk right in under the railroad, and to your right, that's where you can meet Mickey Mouse. The last time I was at Magic Kingdom, and I was dealing with all the transportation issues around the monorail and around the ferry boat, I just kept hearing a kid say, when are we going to get to meet Mickey? When are we going to get to meet Mickey? That's the thing for them. That is such a big thing for these kids because that's what they know of Walt Disney World. They don't know about the new rides. They don't know that they're building Tron or Guardians of the Galaxy or Rise of the Resistance. They know that's where Mickey Mouse lives, and they want to meet Mickey Mouse. And you can do it right when you enter, right under the train station. Boom, to your right, there's Mickey. And then you can keep walking down Main Street USA and see the other thing that is so iconic, Cinderella Castle. There's the Tree of Life at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and there's Spaceship Earth at Epcot, and I guess we could argue which one is the most photogenic. But your Walt Disney World vacation is not complete without that picture in front of Cinderella Castle.
Yep. And I guess it's only fair because now you stole mine. So kind of even. But Cinderella Castle is so iconic. And I mean, that's what people think of when they think of Disney World. People who maybe don't know much about the parks but are just going as a family vacation. They're just like, oh yeah, the park with the castle. That's where we have to go. We have to go see the castle because it is the most iconic image of Disney World. And when you come around that corner and the castle comes into view for the first time, there is nothing like it. No matter how many times you've been to the Magic Kingdom, the first time you turn that corner and you're on Main Street and you see the castle at the end of the street, there's just something so special about it that it doesn't change ever.
So, Marissa, why don't you give me another thing that's right with Magic Kingdom?
I will stick with my variety topic here, and I'm going to say that there's a good variety of snacks. I know that before I was just, degrading the quality of the food, but when you talk snacks, when you think Dole Whips or, the spring rolls that have become so iconic, you've got the confectionery where you can get the iconic the caramel apples or the Rice Krispie treats that are in the shape of Mickey. There's so many snacks at Magic Kingdom that honestly, I feel like the best thing to do is just snack throughout your day because those seem to be the best foods and there's so many different options.
I agree with you. And also, Magic Kingdom is the most likely to get some really fun specialty snacks. Like right now, they're doing the 50th anniversary celebration. You can get a lot of those 50th anniversary snacks. They're rotating different cupcakes and different ice creams and all these different types of things. They're always trying to give you something that you haven't gotten before snack wise. So I do agree with that. I'm going to go with another thing that's right about Magic Kingdom is the monorail resorts, because here's the thing. The monorail resorts are stupid expensive. It costs a lot to stay at the Contemporary, it costs a lot to stay at the Polynesian, it costs even more to stay at the Grand Floridian. But you don't have to be staying there to visit these places. You can't use their pools if you're not staying there, and obviously you don't have a room. But a long day running from ride to ride at Magic Kingdom, you get tired, you get hot, and maybe you're staying at one of the All-Stars and it would take you so long to take the bus back to the All-Star, take your midday break, and then take the bus back to Magic Kingdom later that night. That would take too much out of your day. If you're staying off property, I talked about it for 20 minutes at the beginning of the episode. It's a nightmare to get back to your hotel and then come back later in the day. But you can get on the monorail. You can walk the walking path. You can take boats over to these 3 monorail resorts. And actually, when you add in Disney's Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness Campground, those are 2 other easily accessible resorts from Magic Kingdom. They can be your midday break. There are good quick service dining locations at all 5 of them. There are beautiful lobbies around the holidays. There are the gingerbread houses. There's history. The Beatles broke up at the Polynesian. Richard Nixon said, "I'm not a crook" at the Contemporary. Like, those are iconic moments in history, and they took place at Walt Disney World. And yeah, you're not staying at this resort that costs $700-800 a night. But you can still go there and eat at Captain Cook's or Gasparilla's or Contempo Cafe, or you can eat at some of the fancier restaurants, Ohana, Kona Cafe. You can go over to the Contemporary and go to California Grill or Steakhouse 71. The food at Disney's Wilderness Lodge is a whole nother episode that we can talk about at some point because they have Artist Point, Roaring Fork, Whispering Canyon Cafe, Geyser Point. These are great restaurants, and they're very easily accessible from Magic Kingdom, even more accessible than your own car. So I think that's something that is right with Magic Kingdom.
It definitely is. And it's also funny you bring this up because on my last trip, we ran the 10K and it was right after the 10K. We were in Magic Kingdom and we were tired, we were hungry, we went over to the Contemporary, we had lunch, and then we realized that we just wanted to hang out for a little bit. So we just stayed in the lobby, enjoyed that air conditioning, enjoyed the theming, and it was a really great, refreshing midday break that I'd never done before, but would not hesitate to do again. I think that's such a nice, convenient option. But if you don't want to leave the park, this will lead into my next right with Magic Kingdom. There are still a lot of great places inside Magic Kingdom to sit and relax. And there's some nice little scenic places where you can sit and hang out. And maybe you're still, in the sun or in the heat, but you're at least off your feet. You can do a little people watching and just kind of enjoy it. And I think that the park has such a great atmosphere to soak up as well, that finding these little spaces to relax if you don't want to leave the park, it's a really nice bonus. The hub grass, there's the walkway in between Tomorrowland from the main hub that has a little bench that's really nice to sit at. There's places in New Fantasyland where you can just kind of relax and watch Seven Dwarfs go by while you hang out. And I think that's such a nice plus of the park where even though it's busy and can be hectic, there's still spots where you can take a break.
Absolutely. And I think that we kind of touched on my next what's right with Magic Kingdom a little earlier, and it maybe has something to do with what you just said, but I think that Magic Kingdom is so beautiful / photogenic that there are those places to just sit and people watch. I can just sit on a bench on Main Street, USA, and just wait for things to happen around me. Wait for the character cavalcades, wait for the Dapper Dans, get a snack at the confectionery, and just sit on a bench and eat it, watching people just come in and see Magic Kingdom for the first day. Just sit down and watch people entering Magic Kingdom for the first time in their lives. Like, you will see that just sitting on a bench, having a snack, having a soda, having a Starbucks or Joffrey's coffee. You don't have to be running from ride to ride to ride all the time. And Magic Kingdom does have those places. Tom Sawyer Island in Frontierland, you can feel like you're not even in a theme park when you're walking around Tom Sawyer Island. There are a lot of places that are beautiful. You want to take a whole bunch of pictures. And like we said before about the castle, but so many of the pictures that you're going to look at after your trip are going to be from Magic Kingdom. Maybe you had more fun at Epcot or Animal Kingdom, or you just loved Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and you spent so much time riding those rides, eating at those dining locations, shopping in those stores. All of your pictures are still going to be from Magic Kingdom. When you talk about the Run Disney events, where do you want that picture of you with your medal from the Princess Half Marathon or from the Walt Disney World Marathon? You want to hold that medal in front of Cinderella Castle. I have been all over Walt Disney World. Have I done everything at Walt Disney World? No, but I've done a pretty good percentage of it. And I will tell you how many times I've seen proposals anywhere else besides in front of Cinderella Castle. And that number of proposals is 0. I love Spaceship Earth. I know a whole bunch of people love Spaceship Earth at Epcot. Never seen anybody drop to a knee in front of it to propose. That happens in front of Cinderella Castle. And there's a reason for that. And I think that is something that's right with Magic Kingdom.
It's true. I mean, there's just something about Magic Kingdom that's the park that you don't get anywhere else. And I think my next right can't even come close to that. But to take it down, several notches in terms of the goodness of Magic Kingdom itself, I'll get commercial and say that one thing that's right with Magic Kingdom, there are a lot of great shops. If you want to get a souvenir at a park, Magic Kingdom is the place to look. You've got all of Main Street, all these rides empty out into a gift shop. There are all these little places where you can find souvenirs that you won't find anywhere else in Disney World, or at least in any of the other parks. So I think that they have a great variety, lots of different store options, and it's like the place to be if you want a Disney souvenir.
There's the Emporium on Main Street, USA, that has a lot of more of the mass-produced things, But right across the street, you have the dress shop, the place that has the Dooney and Burks and the whatever those lounge fly bags and the girly girl stuff that my wife Courtney absolutely loves and I don't quite understand. But I did make a big hit when I got her Esmeralda dress for Christmas last year. Anyway, those are some great shops. But then you go to Memento Mori outside of Haunted Mansion. It is like Disney's Hot Topic. It's awesome. It just gives that little bit of a, I'm not going to say punk rock, we'll say pop punk vibe to Walt Disney World. There's some really cool shops in Frontierland, in Adventureland. Tomorrowland, okay, Tomorrowland has some issues and they don't have that many great shops, but they have Merchant of Venus, which is already a great pun anyway. Might not be a great store, but it's a great pun, and those are important. Definitely a lot of good shopping to be had at Magic Kingdom. I don't find myself in stores a lot in Epcot unless it's at one of the World Showcase pavilions. The stores at Animal Kingdom are good. A lot of them do have some specialty stuff, but most of it is still just the regular stuff that you can find at World of Disney or at the Emporium. We've discussed this before. Hollywood Studios has horrible merchandise besides Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So I would say that it is definitely the best shopping park. So now it's time to end this episode, but before we do, because we have now said what's wrong and what's right with Magic Kingdom, and I want to know, of the 4 Walt Disney World theme parks, where does Magic Kingdom rank on your list?
Well, I'm a huge Animal Kingdom fan. And that's, number 1 in my heart. So Magic Kingdom's got to be number 2. But it's more of like a pretty near tie, if I'm allowed to do that. Because, like we said, even though there are some things that could be improved upon, there's a lot it's doing right. And it's a great park, a great place to spend a day, and it's just impossible not to enjoy your time there.
When I was a vacationer and I was going to Walt Disney World every couple of years, or sometimes even having long gaps in between visits to Walt Disney World, I would have said Magic Kingdom is by far my favorite of the 4 theme parks, or I'm so old I remember it was one of the 3 theme parks. I'm actually so old that I remember when it was one of the 2 theme parks, but there for a while, it was definitely my favorite of the 4 as a vacationer. But I'm going to be honest, and this has just happened in the last couple months, as an annual pass holder who gets to go a lot, I think it's at best my second favorite park now. It might be my third, but Epcot is now my favorite Walt Disney World theme park. Without a doubt, it's where I spend the most time when I'm visiting the parks. And you haven't converted me yet, but when you talk about some of the quality at Disney's Animal Kingdom, the things to do when you're not riding rides, things like the animation experience, Maharaja Jungle Trek, just walking around Discovery Island, and then when you talk about restaurants like Tiffin's, even Satuli Canteen, I think I'm going to have Magic Kingdom, I can't believe I'm about to say this, as my third favorite park at Walt Disney World. Not putting it down, but sometimes you just travel differently when you go a lot than when you go every couple of years. Because even Marissa, like, you don't live near here, but you still go a lot more than regular guests. So that probably plays a part in why you think Animal Kingdom has surpassed Magic Kingdom in some ways.
It absolutely does. And I say it a lot, but I'm very, very fortunate to be able to go as much as I do. And, that's not something that a lot of people get to do. And that doesn't escape me, how lucky I am to do that. But it does change the way you travel. Like you said, it does put a different spin on it where, maybe I'm not as focused on running to the next ride because I know, okay, I've done it before. I know I will have a chance to do it again. So I don't have to spend all my time in lines. And that affords me the ability to take a totally different approach to touring the parks, which I think, like you were saying, with Epcot and Animal Kingdom, those do shine a little bit more when you don't do the traditional theme park touring.
I have talked endlessly about how much I love Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I have not ridden it since mid-December. And that time it was because Flight of Passage broke down and they gave me an anytime fast pass to do whatever I wanted, so we hopped over to Magic Kingdom and did Big Thunder. I haven't waited in line for Big Thunder Mountain in forever, and even though I love that ride so much, it's just not something I prioritize because I know it's always going to be there the next time. Anyway, Marissa, thank you so much for joining me again. This was an awesome conversation.
This was a whole lot of fun, and I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
For Sarah Says and Marissa from Chicago, I'm Rick Doherty, and this has been episode 78 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. We'll return next Thursday when Sarah and I will get you started on the process of planning for a Walt Disney World vacation. It's getting more and more complicated, and we try to help you know where to begin. This is actually a topic we've covered in the past, but so much has changed in the last 18 months that we thought it was necessary to revisit it. Lightning lane, boarding groups, airport transportation. There's a lot you need to consider that just didn't even exist before late 2019. That will be on episode 79. Until then, have a great week.